Imagine a heartwarming scene from Lassie, a loyal dog rushing to save a boy in distress. Audiences cheered for the brave collie and his human companions, unaware of the heartbreaking tragedies that loomed behind the scenes. For 2 decades, Lassie captured millions of hearts with stories of courage and loyalty. Yet beneath the wholesome family drama lies a darker legacy, one marked by the devastating fates of its cast members. From untimely deaths to struggles with addiction and isolation, the lives of the stars were far from idyllic. The dreams of Lassie's beloved cast turned into real-life heartbreak. Tommy Rettig's smile lit up the screen when he appeared as Jeff Miller, the first boy to form an inseparable bond with the iconic collie, Lassie. Premiering in 1954, Rettig became one of the most recognizable faces on television, embodying the perfect all-American boy living in an idyllic rural world filled with adventures. His portrayal of Jeff, kind, courageous, and compassionate, captured the hearts of millions, making him an instant child star. However, behind the camera, Rettig's life was far from the picture-perfect image he presented on screen. The fame that brought him adoration would also lead him down a dark and painful path. Born in Queens, New York, in 1941, Rettig had shown promise as an actor even before Lassie. He had worked with Marilyn Monroe in The River of No Return, 1954, and was considered a bright talent destined for stardom. However, his casting in Lassie launched him into superstardom at just 12 years old. He quickly became a household name, playing the boy who shared adventures, lessons, and emotional moments with his loyal collie. Fans saw him as the quintessential happy child, but as the years passed, Rettig began feeling trapped by the role that brought him fame. Despite his undeniable on-screen charm, Rettig's experience on the show was bittersweet. The long hours, rigid schedules, and constant public attention weighed heavily on him. By the 3rd season, Rettig began to express dissatisfaction with acting altogether. He wanted the simple life that his character Jeff enjoyed on the fictional farm. But in real life, the pressures of Hollywood had already stolen his childhood. When he left Lassie at age 15 after season 4, he hoped to escape the spotlight and find normalcy. Unfortunately, his departure from the show marked the beginning of a difficult and downward trajectory. After leaving Lassie, Rettig found that the fame that had once opened doors now kept him locked in a box. He was typecast as the wholesome boy next door and struggled to land meaningful acting roles. The phone stopped ringing, and his former glory quickly faded. He grew resentful of the industry that had thrust him into fame and then abandoned him. Disillusioned, Rettig drifted away from acting altogether and tried to live a life far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. But Rettig's post-Lassie years were filled with turbulence. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, his life spiraled into darkness. He became involved in the drug scene, searching for purpose and escape. He was arrested multiple times for possession and was briefly entangled in drug trafficking, adding legal troubles to his already fragile situation. Financial struggles plagued him, and his once promising future felt like a distant memory. The boy who had symbolized purity and adventure for millions of viewers was now battling addiction, legal issues, and despair. Rettig's story could have ended in tragedy during those years of chaos. However, in the mid-1970s, he made a concerted effort to rebuild his life. He entered rehabilitation programs and sought to find his footing in the world outside of acting. Surprisingly, his life took an unexpected turn toward redemption. In the 1980s, Rettig found success as a computer programmer and became a pioneer in software development during the early days of personal computing. His expertise in database software brought him respect in the tech industry, a far cry from his days as a child star. For the first time in years, Rettig had found stability and a sense of accomplishment. Despite his professional revival, Rettig's health remained fragile. On February 15, 1996, Rettig died suddenly from a heart attack at his Marina del Rey home in California. He was only 54 years old. The news of his passing stunned those who remembered the bright-eyed boy who had once raced across the screen alongside Lassie. Friends and former colleagues mourned the loss of a man whose life had been shaped and nearly destroyed by early fame. Rettig's legacy serves as both a testament to his early talent and a cautionary tale about the dangers of child stardom. His story is a reminder of the emotional toll that fame can take, especially on young actors, who are often ill-equipped to navigate its pressures. Although Rettig's life was marred by struggles and tragedy, his resilience in finding a new path later in life continues to resonate. Today, fans remember him not only as the boy who shared adventures with Lassie, but also as a man who fought to reclaim his life in a world that once seemed determined to control it. Tommy Rettig's rise and fall remain one of the most poignant chapters in Lassie's legacy. Beneath the heartwarming nostalgia of the show lies the story of a boy who, like so many child stars, was asked to sacrifice his youth for the sake of entertainment, and who paid a steep price for that sacrifice. Jan Clayton's warm presence as Ellen Miller, the widowed mother of Jeff Miller, made her a beloved fixture on Lassie during the show's early years. Her portrayal of a resilient yet nurturing woman navigating the challenges of life on a farm resonated with viewers across the country. Clayton's natural talent and radiant charisma turned her into a household name, and she became a symbol of maternal strength for television audiences. Yet behind the comforting image of the on-screen matriarch lay a life shaped by profound sorrow and devastating personal losses. Before her Lassie fame, Clayton was already an accomplished performer. Born in Tularosa, New Mexico in 1917, she discovered her passion for acting and music at an early age. Her distinctive soprano voice earned her roles in Broadway productions, including the original 1945 cast of Carousel, in which she played Julie Jordan, one of the most coveted roles in musical theater. Her success on the stage led to her transition into television, where she was cast in Lassie in 1954. As Ellen Miller, Clayton brought depth and warmth to the show, portraying a mother whose quiet strength and compassion complemented her son Jeff's adventures with Lassie. While Clayton's career flourished, her personal life was marked by heartbreak. She was married 3 times, and each relationship ended in difficulty. Her marriage to famed film and television actor Russell Hayden was particularly tumultuous, though it gave her 3 children. Despite the outward image of success, Clayton was often juggling the demands of her career with the challenges of raising a family and navigating the complexities of Hollywood. The greatest tragedy of her life came in 1956 when her young daughter, Sandra, was killed in a devastating car accident. Sandra's death left Clayton inconsolable. The loss of her child shattered her, and the overwhelming grief sent her into a downward spiral. Friends and colleagues recalled that Clayton was never the same after the tragedy. Despite her attempts to maintain her professional demeanor, the weight of her grief was evident. As the years went on, Clayton turned to alcohol to cope with her sorrow. What began as an attempt to numb her pain soon evolved into a serious addiction. The once vibrant actress began missing opportunities due to her drinking, and her reputation in the industry suffered. By the late 1950s, roles became scarce, and she found herself slipping out of the public eye. Hollywood, which had once embraced her, moved on, leaving Clayton to grapple with her demons in isolation. In the 1960s, Clayton attempted a comeback and appeared in guest roles on television. But the magic of her early years in Lassie and on Broadway was difficult to recapture. Her struggles with addiction continued to impact her ability to maintain steady work. She also became known for her work in addiction recovery circles, speaking candidly about her battles and encouraging others to seek help. However, her efforts to rebuild her career were hindered by her deteriorating health. In 1983, Jan Clayton passed away from cancer at the age of 66. Her death marked the end of a life filled with brilliance, tragedy, and resilience. Friends who knew her best mourned not only the loss of an extraordinary talent, but also the quiet devastation she endured. Fans of Lassie remembered her as the kind, devoted Ellen Miller, a mother who was a beacon of strength and love in their favorite childhood show. However, those closest to Clayton knew the heartache behind her radiant smile. A mother who had endured the unimaginable loss of a child and who spent her remaining years searching for peace. Clayton's story remains one of Hollywood's bittersweet tales. She was a star whose early promise was overshadowed by immense personal grief and the painful effects of addiction. Yet, despite the darkness that marked her later years, she left behind a legacy that continues to resonate with those who remember her performances. Her portrayal of Ellen Miller on Lassie gave audiences a character whose quiet strength mirrored the resilience she often had to summon in her own life. Jan Clayton's journey serves as a reminder of the fragile balance between fame and personal fulfillment. In an industry that often demands perfection from its stars, Clayton's struggles humanize her legacy, offering a poignant reflection on the emotional cost of public adoration. While her life may have ended in sorrow, her contributions to stage and screen remain a testament to her remarkable talent and enduring grace. John Prevost became a household name as Timmy Martin, the adventurous boy who shared a deep, unbreakable bond with Lassie. Cast in 1957, when he was just 7 years old, Prevost stepped into the role that would make him a cultural icon. With his innocent smile, tousled hair, and earnest performances, he perfectly embodied the archetypal all-American boy who needed saving by his loyal collie. For 7 seasons, Timmy and Lassie's heartwarming adventures captivated millions, solidifying Prevost's status as America's golden boy. However, the idyllic portrayal of life on the Martin family farm belied the dangers Prevost faced behind the scenes. Unlike many child actors of his time, Prevost performed a significant number of his own stunts, some of which placed him in considerable danger. In one memorable episode, Prevost was required to cling to a rapidly sinking raft while Lassie rescued him. The stunt went awry when the current swept him farther downstream than intended, and he nearly drowned before the crew could intervene. On another occasion, he fell from a ladder during a scene involving a barn rescue and narrowly avoided serious injury. Despite these near misses, Prevost was expected to continue performing such scenes, which left lasting emotional scars. As the seasons passed, Prevost grew older, and by the time he left Lassie in 1964 at the age of 14, he had become one of the most recognizable child stars in television history. However, this immense fame became a double-edged sword. Prevost found himself trapped in the Timmy persona, typecast as the innocent boy in need of rescue. Casting directors could only see him as Timmy Martin, making it nearly impossible for him to transition into more mature roles. He soon discovered what many child stars before him had learned the hard way. Hollywood had little use for former child actors who had outgrown their signature roles. Feeling disillusioned and adrift, Prevost stepped away from acting in his late teens and struggled to adjust to life outside the entertainment industry. While he managed to avoid some of the worst pitfalls associated with early stardom, the emotional weight of losing his identity as an actor lingered. In interviews, Prevost admitted that despite his relative stability, he often felt lost, wondering who he was beyond Timmy Martin. Prevost's post-Lassie years were not without turbulence, but he defied expectations in ways that many of his peers could not. In the 1970s, after struggling to find his purpose, he decided to further his education and build a life independent of his acting past. He eventually found fulfillment outside of show business, working in real estate and philanthropy. Perhaps most notably, Prevost became a strong advocate for former child actors, speaking out about the unique challenges they face as they navigate life after fame. He was candid about his own experiences with depression and identity struggles, hoping to destigmatize these issues and provide support for others who felt similarly abandoned by Hollywood. Prevost also reconnected with his Lassie legacy later in life, embracing his place in television history while emphasizing the importance of mental health and self-discovery for those who grow up in the public eye. John Prevost's story is often described as one of the rare successes among former child stars. While he faced many of the same obstacles as his peers, he managed to avoid the tragic outcomes that claimed the lives of so many others. Instead, he emerged as a survivor who used his platform to help others. Though Timmy Martin may have needed rescuing on screen, Prevost proved that he could navigate life's dangers on his own terms. Today, he is remembered not only for his role as Timmy, but also for his resilience and dedication to improving the lives of others who once walked in his shoes. Cloris Leachman's stint on Lassie was brief but memorable. In 1957, she was cast as Ruth Martin, Timmy's adoptive mother, during a pivotal period in the show's history. Leachman brought a distinct charm to the role, portraying Ruth as a nurturing, no-nonsense figure who balanced compassion with strength. However, after only one season, Leachman departed the show. a decision that raised eyebrows at the time. While many actors feared being forgotten after leaving a popular series, Leachman's ambitions extended far beyond Lassie. She left to pursue bigger roles, and her gamble paid off as she carved out one of the most successful and versatile careers in Hollywood history. Leachman's post-Lassie career became legendary. She won an Academy Award for her gut-wrenching portrayal of a lonely housewife in The Last Picture Show, 1971, and racked up 8 Primetime Emmy Awards for her comedic genius in shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Phyllis. Her sharp wit, impeccable comedic timing, and ability to transition seamlessly between humor and drama made her a Hollywood icon. However, despite her professional triumphs, Leachman's personal life was marked by a devastating tragedy that cast a shadow over her later years. Leachman was married to director and producer George England, with whom she had 5 children. Their marriage was passionate but tumultuous, filled with both creative collaboration and personal struggles. The couple eventually divorced after 26 years together, but they remained connected through their children. Of her 5 children, Leachman was particularly close to her son Brian England, who struggled with addiction throughout much of his life. The family's worst fears came true on February 25, 1986, when Brian was found dead in a Manhattan hotel room at the age of 30. His death was ruled an accidental overdose, the result of years of battling substance abuse. The news devastated Leachman, who had always held on to hope that Brian would find stability. The pain of losing her son was something she carried with her for the rest of her life, and though she rarely spoke publicly about the tragedy, friends and colleagues noted that it profoundly impacted her. Despite the immense grief she endured, Leachman threw herself into her work in the years following Brian's death. She continued to receive critical acclaim, winning multiple awards and working steadily well into her later years. However, those close to her recognized that behind her exuberant public persona was a mother who had endured an unspeakable loss. In interviews, Leachman would occasionally allude to her grief, but she often preferred to channel her emotions into her performances. Leachman's versatility as an actress allowed her to portray a wide range of complex characters, many of whom reflected the emotional depth she had cultivated through her life experiences. Whether she was playing the eccentric grandmother in Raising Hope or reprising her comedic roles in sitcoms, audiences continued to be drawn to her authenticity and charm. In her final years, Leachman remained as lively and unapologetically candid as ever. She often spoke about aging with humor, quipping that she was grateful to still be working in her 90s. However, Brian's death lingered in her heart until the end. Friends described Leachman as someone who, despite her fame, found her greatest pride in her children and grandchildren. She would sometimes reminisce about Brian and wonder aloud what he might have accomplished had he conquered his demons. Cloris Leachman passed away in January 2021 at the age of 94. Her cause of death was reported as natural causes, though her family revealed that she had been diagnosed with COVID-19, which may have contributed to her passing. Tributes poured in from across the entertainment industry, celebrating her incredible career and larger-than-life personality. However, amid the accolades, there was a quiet recognition of the strength she had shown in her personal life, enduring a loss that many could barely comprehend. Leachman's life was a tapestry of triumphs and heartaches. She was an acclaimed actress, a comedic trailblazer, and a pioneer for women in entertainment. But she was also a grieving mother who bore her loss with remarkable grace. Her story stands as a testament to the complexities of fame, how it can elevate, distract, and yet never fully insulate a person from the sorrows of real life. Cloris Leachman's legacy endures not only in the laughter she inspired and the characters she immortalized, but also in the quiet resilience she showed in the face of tragedy. June Lockhart became synonymous with the warmth and grace that defined Lassie's later years. Cast as Ruth Martin, Timmy's adoptive mother, in 1958, Lockhart took on the role after Cloris Leachman's departure and made it her own. Her comforting presence and ability to portray maternal strength and kindness helped the show remain one of television's most beloved family dramas. Lockhart's portrayal of Ruth became so iconic that many viewers still see her as the ultimate TV mom. However, despite the nurturing role she played on screen, Lockhart's real life was filled with challenges and quiet sorrows that she kept hidden from public view. Born into a family of performers, her father was Gene Lockhart, an acclaimed character actor, and her mother Kathleen Lockhart, a talented vocalist. June was destined for the spotlight. She made her film debut at the age of 12 alongside her parents in A Christmas Carol, 1938, and quickly became a respected actress. By the time she joined Lassie, she was already a seasoned performer with a long career in film and television. She seemed to embody Hollywood elegance and resilience, but Lockhart's personal life was far more complicated than her wholesome on-screen persona suggested. Lockhart's time on Lassie coincided with a period of personal upheaval. While she maintained an air of professionalism on set, she privately endured painful losses, including the deaths of several close family members. In 1957, she lost her father, Gene Lockhart, a beloved figure in the entertainment industry, to a heart attack. His passing was a tremendous blow to June, as the two had shared a deep bond not only as family members, but also as fellow actors. Losing her father at a pivotal moment in her career left her grappling with grief, just as she was stepping into one of her most high-profile roles. Despite the pain of these personal tragedies, Lockhart never allowed her private struggles to overshadow her work. She became known for her resilience, professionalism, and ability to bring authenticity to her roles. While her co-stars in Lassie often found themselves embroiled in public battles with addiction, typecasting, or financial ruin, Lockhart remained a steady presence. She navigated the pressures of fame with grace, determined to avoid the pitfalls that claimed so many other child actors and television stars of the era. However, Lockhart's life was not without emotional burdens. She experienced 2 divorces, and though she was a devoted mother to her 2 daughters, Anne and June Jr., the strain of balancing her career with motherhood took its toll. Lockhart often refrained from speaking publicly about her hardships, opting instead to project an image of strength and independence. Friends described her as fiercely private yet unfailingly kind, someone who carried her grief quietly but found solace in her work. After leaving Lassie in 1964, Lockhart continued her successful television career, most notably starring in Lost in Space, 1965 to 1968, as Dr. Maureen Robinson, another beloved maternal figure. She became a symbol of stability and resilience for generations of viewers, embodying strength in both her fictional roles and her real life. Unlike many of her Lassie co-stars, Lockhart did not succumb to the tragic pitfalls of early fame or the psychological scars that plagued other members of the cast. In her later years, Lockhart remained active in Hollywood, attending conventions, fan events, and interviews where she embraced her legacy as Ruth Martin and Maureen Robinson. She often spoke fondly of her time on Lassie, recognizing how much the show meant to its fans. Yet, beneath the accolades and nostalgia, she carried the quiet weight of her personal losses. Now in her 90s, Lockhart's legacy is one of strength, grace, and perseverance. She defied the odds by maintaining a long and successful career without public breakdowns or scandals. Her story is a reminder that some stars endure hardship not with spectacle, but with quiet fortitude. While her co-stars' lives were often defined by turmoil and tragedy, Lockhart's life stands as a testament to resilience in the face of sorrow. For fans of Lassie, Lockhart will always be remembered as the loving, dependable mother who, alongside Lassie, represented safety and stability. Her lasting contribution to television history is a reflection not only of her talent, but also of her remarkable inner strength, proof that even amid great personal loss, it is possible to create a legacy built on love and grace. When audiences think of Lassie, they picture the brave and intelligent collie that captured hearts across generations. But behind the star of the show was a man whose lifelong devotion to dogs made Lassie a legend. Rudd Weatherwax, an expert animal trainer, was the driving force behind the Lassie franchise's success. Known as the Dog Whisperer long before the term became popular, Weatherwax had an extraordinary gift for understanding and training animals. His bond with Lassie, particularly the first dog to play the role, was unlike anything seen in Hollywood. However, this incredible legacy came with immense pressure for both Weatherwax and the dogs who became cultural icons, many of whom faced tragic fates. Weatherwax's journey with Lassie began in the 1940s when MGM Studios cast his prized collie, Pal, as Lassie in Lassie Come Home, 1943, the hit film that launched the character into stardom. Although Pal was originally considered unfit for the role due to minor physical flaws, Weatherwax's training transformed him into a perfect performer, impressing MGM executives. Pal's success secured Weatherwax a contract, and he became the official trainer for all Lassie appearances going forward. When Lassie transitioned to television in 1954, Weatherwax continued his work, with Pal's descendants taking over the role. The demanding filming schedule meant that the dogs portraying Lassie had to perform grueling stunts, often enduring long hours and physical challenges. In addition to the weekly television show, Lassie was required to make promotional appearances, travel across the country, and perform live shows, all while maintaining the calm and obedient demeanor audiences expected. The constant workload led to exhaustion, early retirements, and in some cases, untimely deaths of the dogs. Pal, the original Lassie, retired from performing after 6 years due to age and physical strain, though Weatherwax kept him as a beloved companion until his death in 1958. After Pal, several of his descendants, male collies, all trained to portray the female Lassie, took on the role. Weatherwax ensured that each dog underwent intensive training to replicate Lassie's unique mannerisms, such as the signature reassuring paw gesture. However, the dogs' work extended far beyond the screen. They were expected to make public appearances at events, parades, and charity functions, which often resulted in severe burnout. One Lassie successor, nicknamed Baby, was withdrawn from public events after a breakdown caused by stress and overwork. Baby became uncharacteristically skittish and withdrawn, behaviors that shocked Weatherwax, who immediately retired him from the role to prevent further distress. Sadly, some of the collies who served as Lassie did not enjoy long lives after retirement due to the physical demands placed on them. Weatherwax himself grew increasingly concerned about the treatment of celebrity animals in Hollywood and became outspoken about ensuring better conditions for his dogs. Rudd Weatherwax's dedication to Lassie became his life's defining mission. Unlike other Hollywood animal trainers who often used harsh tactics, Weatherwax relied on positive reinforcement, patience, and respect for his animals. His emotional connection to his dogs was so profound that he was known to spend hours simply observing their body language and reactions to ensure they felt safe and understood. The bond he shared with Pal was particularly intense. Weatherwax would later describe losing Pal as one of the most painful moments of his life. As Lassie grew into a global sensation, Weatherwax's role as the face behind the collie became more prominent. He was fiercely protective of Lassie's legacy and refused to let the franchise be commercialized in ways that he felt were disrespectful to the character. This dedication came with personal sacrifices. Weatherwax often turned down lucrative offers for Lassie appearances if he felt they would compromise the collie's dignity. His financial situation became precarious at times, but he never wavered in his commitment. In 1985, Rudd Weatherwax passed away from natural causes at the age of 77. In his final years, he reportedly worried about the future of Lassie and the well-being of the dogs that carried on the legacy. His death marked the end of an era for Lassie, and the responsibility of continuing the collie's legacy fell to his son, Bob Weatherwax, who inherited his father's passion and dedication. However, many believe that no one could ever match the unique bond Rudd shared with Lassie. Today, Rudd Weatherwax is remembered not only for his incredible achievements in animal training, but also for his deep empathy and respect for the dogs he trained. His work set a standard for how animals should be treated in entertainment and left behind a legacy of loyalty and love. Yet, the tragic reality of the Lassie dogs' grueling lives serves as a reminder of the immense cost of fame, even for animals. Behind the heartwarming stories of loyalty and heroism that Lassie portrayed lay the tireless efforts of Weatherwax and his dogs, whose sacrifices brought the beloved collie to life for generations of adoring fans. While Lassie became a cultural phenomenon celebrated for its beloved collie and iconic cast, much of the show's success was due to the contributions of recurring minor cast members and a dedicated behind-the-scenes crew. These unsung heroes helped create the wholesome and heartwarming stories that captivated millions of viewers for 2 decades. However, many of these individuals were overlooked by the spotlight, and after Lassie ended, they faced obscurity financial struggles, and tragic fates. Among the recurring cast members who left their mark was George Cleveland, who played Gramps Miller, Jeff's kindly grandfather, during the show's early seasons. His portrayal of the wise and loving patriarch added depth to the series. But Cleveland's time on Lassie was cut short when he passed away suddenly from a heart attack in 1957, just as the show was hitting its stride. His death was a significant loss to the cast, and his absence was deeply felt by fans who had come to see him as an essential part of the Miller family. Other recurring actors, such as Andy Clyde, who played the lovable old handyman Cully Wilson, also faded into obscurity after their time on the show. Clyde, a veteran character actor, struggled to find substantial work after Lassie, despite a career that spanned silent films and television. Though his contributions were significant, his later years were marked by financial hardship, and he passed away quietly in 1967, largely forgotten by Hollywood. Behind the camera, the situation was often just as grim. The crew members who poured their time and effort into crafting the heartwarming episodes of Lassie were often treated as expendable by the television industry. Many worked long hours for minimal pay, and once the show ended, they found it difficult to transition to new projects due to changing trends in television production. Some of these individuals, such as camera operators and set designers, struggled to make ends meet, and their contributions to one of television's most iconic series went unrecognized. A particularly tragic figure was Robert Maxwell, one of the show's early producers and writers. Maxwell played a significant role in shaping Lassie's early seasons, helping to establish the show's winning formula of adventure and emotional storytelling. However, Maxwell's career faltered after he left Lassie. By the late 1960s, he was in financial ruin, and he passed away in 1971. His role in the show's legacy largely forgotten. For many of the actors and crew members who worked on Lassie, their lives after the show were a stark contrast to the show's message of resilience and triumph. Without residual payments, a common industry issue during that era, many found themselves struggling to make ends meet. While the main cast members at least enjoyed some measure of fame, the minor actors and crew quietly disappeared into Hollywood's shadows, their stories of hardship lost in the glow of the show's success. The stories of these forgotten contributors serve as a reminder that the success of Lassie was built by many hands. For every celebrated actor or producer, there were countless others whose dedication went unnoticed. Though their names may not be remembered by fans, their work lives on in every heartfelt moment of the beloved series, a legacy that deserves recognition even after decades of silence. The heartwarming tales of Lassie's loyalty and bravery stood in stark contrast to the fates of many who were part of the show. Over the years, a troubling pattern of tragedies emerged, leading some to question whether the show was plagued by an unspoken curse. From untimely deaths to struggles with addiction and isolation, Lassie's legacy became intertwined with the personal misfortunes of its cast and crew. Tommy Reddick, who played Jeff Miller, was the first and perhaps most heartbreaking example. After leaving the show, he faced depression, financial instability, and legal troubles related to drug trafficking. His sudden death from a heart attack at 54 further fueled the narrative of a curse. Jan Clayton, who portrayed Ellen Miller, suffered immense grief following the tragic death of her daughter, which led to a battle with alcoholism and an early death from cancer. Even the show's producers, such as Robert Maxwell, faced devastating financial ruin and obscurity. The tragedies extended beyond the human cast. The Lassie collies themselves endured grueling filming schedules, often retiring early due to physical and emotional strain. Some even experienced nervous breakdowns from the demands of their celebrity status. These unfortunate patterns reflect broader issues in Hollywood during the 1950s and 1970s, especially for child actors. The entertainment industry often exploited young performers without providing the necessary emotional support or financial protection. The child star curse became a well-known phenomenon as actors like Reddick and John Provost were thrust into fame before they could fully understand its consequences. Many were typecast and struggled to build careers beyond their iconic roles. The lack of residual payments meant that once their fame faded, they were left without financial security. While some, like John Provost, managed to survive the pitfalls of early stardom, Others succumb to its pressures. In an era before mental health resources were widely available, child actors often had to face their struggles alone. The show that symbolized hope, resilience, and family unity hid a darker truth about the harsh realities of the entertainment industry. Though there may not have been a literal curse, the hardships faced by the Lassie cast reveal an ongoing narrative of exploitation, loss, and survival. Their stories serve as poignant reminders of the human cost behind some of television's most beloved productions. Despite the tragedies that befell many members of the Lassie cast and crew, the show's legacy remains one of hope, loyalty, and resilience. For 2 decades, Lassie inspired audiences with tales of heroism and the unbreakable bond between humans and their 4-legged companions. The show's values of courage, kindness, and family continue to resonate, making Lassie a timeless cultural symbol. However, beneath this enduring legacy lies a more sobering truth, a reminder of the human cost behind some of television's most beloved productions. The tragic stories of Tommy Rettig, Jan Clayton, and others shed light on the emotional and psychological toll of early fame, particularly for child stars. Rettig's struggles with identity, financial ruin, and addiction exemplified how quickly young actors could be cast aside by Hollywood once their initial appeal faded. In contrast, John Provost's resilience and advocacy for former child stars demonstrate the importance of support systems for those who grow up in the spotlight. Provost's later work in raising awareness about the challenges of early fame has helped destigmatize the mental health struggles many former child actors face. Today, organizations such as the Actors Fund and A Minor Consideration provide critical resources for actors who, like Rettig, once struggled to navigate life after fame. These efforts have been driven in part by the cautionary tales of stars from shows like Lassie, who were often left without financial or emotional support. The lessons learned from these stories have helped shift the conversation toward greater protections and awareness for performers. Ultimately, Lassie's legacy is a complex one. The show brought comfort and joy to millions, but also left behind a trail of forgotten contributors who paid a steep price for its success. The stories of triumph and tragedy remind us that behind every beloved TV classic are real people with real struggles. Honoring their memories means recognizing both their contributions and their hardships. Though some cast members were lost to tragedy, their work lives on in the lasting impact of a show that continues to teach generations the true meaning of loyalty, courage, and compassion.